We'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shruniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashye Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštuvagum Sashtanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vrittasravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastakshorarishthanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatir Tadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying Mandukya Upanishad with Shankara Bashyam, and we are in the 6th Karika, the last ending portion of the 6th Karika. Today we are going to see a very, very important section of Mandukya Karika, which is Karika number 7. It's an important Karika from the point of view of moksha. What we were seeing last week is this particular slide, and in these 3 verses of the 4th chapter, 6, 7 and 8, this is exact repetition of the verses 20, 21, 22 of the 3rd chapter. Why is it being repeated? Because these 3 shlokas are very, very important to negate the other schools of thought. What is the main conclusion of these 3 verses? Number 1, Brahman or Turiyam in the ultimate analysis of Vedanta is not a Karanam. Number 1. The second conclusion is, world which we normally say is an effect, according to this 3 verses, world is not a product, it is not an effect. If it is not an effect and Karanam and Karyam relationship is not there between Turiyam and the world, how can we describe this world? This is an extremely important conclusion. See, in many of the Upanishads, initially the world is taken as Karyam and Brahman is taken as Karan. Generally, this is for a junior student. But when it comes to the end portion, at the end, even in Taittiriya Upanishad or Mandukya Upanishad or Katha Upanishad, all the Upanishads, they say ultimately the world is not a Karyam, it is a appearance. Even, I'm sure all of you know that in the 2nd chapter, 3rd chapter, we have kept on saying waking state is like the dream state. What is waking state and what is dream state? Dream state is Karyam or it is an appearance. When you say finally that Brahman or Turiyam is not a Karanam, then the 3rd pada is taken as Karan. What is 3rd pada? Ishvara. This is again at a junior level, at a senior level. What do we say? Waker is not a Karanam of dream. Dream is not a product. It is only an appearance due to the ignorance of the waker. If you can understand this aspect, dream In dream, you are dreaming because you don't know you are the waker. What Gaudapadacharya is trying to conclude here is, in the waking state is also born out of ignorance of the self, which is Turiyam. Like dream is an appearance, waking is also an appearance. What about Turiyam or Brahman? It is Nirakaraha, formless, and Nirgunaha, without any attributes. These are very fine conclusions by Gaudapadacharya. So in this Karika number 6, what Shankaracharya says is it's already been commented in verse number 20 of the 3rd chapter. That's all. He doesn't expand on this too much, because he says, refer to my commentary of the 3rd chapter 20th verse. It's exactly the same. Now Satkaryavada, Satkaryavada last week I told you is Sankhya and Yoga. What do they say? They are talking about real creation and real Adhisthana. Real creation is born out of Sat. That is the Satkaryavada. Asatkaryavada says that the creation is born out of non-existence, it is a new product according to Asatkaryavada. What does Mandukya Upanishads, Shankaracharya and Gaudapadacharya say? How do they refute both these philosophers? They say Ajativada, which we discussed in very big detail in the 3rd chapter. So this 20th verse is a proof that there is no creation as such, but there is an appearance. Like rope snake is an appearance. Mirage water is an appearance. Because of ignorance. The most important point we should again and again you try to sink into your mind is, I don't know who I am. I am Satchit Ananda Rupa, timeless, spaceless Atma. That is the most important conclusion you must derive from all the study of Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. The 7th Karika is also an extension of the 3rd chapter only. We'll see that.
Na bhavatyamritam martyam, na bhavatyamritam martyam, na martyam amritam tatha, na martyam amritam tatha, prakriteranyata bhavaha, prakriteranyatha bhavaha, na katham chit bhavishyati, na katham chit bhavishyati.
So here again a very important conclusion. See, ultimately Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, they want to convey the idea that there is something in us which is immortal. What is that? It is not the body. Body we all know is mortal. Mind, is it mind mortal or immortal? Relatively immortal, but ultimately mortal. It also during pralaya it goes away. What is immortal in our body? All of you know the answer. It is consciousness, existence, awareness principle. Now, is this consciousness immortal? Yes, it is immortal. But can immortal appear as, can it become mortal? Can it become the mortal body and mind? It cannot. So that is what is being discussed in this particular verse. Very important verse. Try to understand the verse. I will go a little bit slow, but what it says is the immortal does not become mortal, mortal does not become immortal. If the mortal does not become immortal and the immortal does not become mortal, what is the conclusion? Immortal always remains. It never changes its nature. Our nature is awareness, consciousness. It's a wrong notion in our intellect that we think that we are the body and we say that the body is born, and we don't know that I am not the body. It is true that the body is born and the body is gone. But I, the consciousness, awareness in which the body is seen, I am the witness of the body. Today also, right now, I witness my body. Who sees the body? Who is the observer of this body? It is consciousness. Who is the observer of the world? It is the same consciousness when it is passing through the sense organs and your mind, it is experiencing a world. But consciousness or Turiyam is always immortal, changelessly immortal. Body is always mortal. One body goes, another body comes. So many millions of bodies are there in the world. It keeps on coming and going, so both are Nitya. What Gaudapadacharya, you see, this is a reasoning. Many a times our intellect requires reason to absorb a particular fact. If I tell you you are immortal, you will not believe it. Unless until your intellect is convinced. What does Shankaracharya, how does he comment on this word? He says, if something is birthless, that means it is always there. If it is always there, it is nirvikaraha. Nirvikaraha means there are no 6 modifications for Atma. Suppose you say there is a cause. Cause is always undergoing a change. A birthless entity, Atma, which is changeless, cannot be the cause, because cause means change. In all other fields, the main point is, in other philosophies, Prakriti or Paramanu or Brahman is said to be a cause. Prakriti. Generally what we say in nature, 5 elements. Now that is a cause, or Paramanu is a cause. Sometimes we say Brahman is a cause. But if you follow this above logic that Brahman is birthless, which means it cannot be a cause. Suppose you say Brahman is a cause, it is like saying hot ice cream. Can ice cream ever be hot? Can we say it is a cold fire or a square circle? It is a contradiction in the words. Nirvikara, Savikara contradictions are there in the in this theory where you say Turiyam is the cause of the world. You see, generally speaking, yes, we do say that, but your intellect should say ultimately Turiyam is also not a cause. Because it cannot change, cause cannot change. Pure pure Brahman, pure conscious cannot be changed to become, therefore we say world is an appearance. Rope changelessly appears as rope snake due to ignorance. Brahman or Turiam changelessly appears to be this world. It is extremely difficult for anybody to accept it, but that is the truth. When you come to Mandukya Upanishad directly attacks your conclusion about the world. So this particular verse is a repetition of the 21st Karika. Therefore, Shankaracharya does not write a big commentary, but he is giving us these verses so that we can relate and come back to the conclusion in the last chapter of the Upanishad, which is chapter 4. Now let us see the 8th verse.
स्वभावेनामृतो यस्य स्वभावेनामृतो यस्य धर्मो गच्छति मर्त्यताम् धर्मो गच्छति मर्त्यताम् कृतकेनामृतस्तस्य कृतकेनामृतस्तस्य कथं स्थास्यति निश्चलः कथं स्थास्यति निश्चलः.
So he continues the same topic of immortality of consciousness, awareness. This awareness is immortal. It can never lose its essential nature of immortality. Therefore, whoever is able to have this knowledge about his real Swarupam can say at any time that he is immortal. See, many people complain they don't know how to face death. These are the verses, if you understand clearly, you will have no fear of death. Because these verses are pramanam for immortality. I am immortal. The Veda says I am immortal. How I am immortal is the logic given in these verses. Immortality remains the same. It can never change at all. How did Shankaracharya know his Swarupam? By knowing this truth. The truth is, there is an immortal self in this universe. Knowing that immortal self as my real Swarupam, I can get moksha. In the 3rd chapter, the same mantra is repeated. 6, 7, 8 is the same as 20, 21, 22. If Paramatma becomes Jivatma, then Jivatma will also become Paramatma. Then what happens? That means it's a cycle. You cannot have it. That means a Jiva can never have moksha. So what do they say? That ultimately they say, if you want to join Bhagwan at any time in any loka, then you will also come back to this loka. See, this is the problem with all the Dvaitins. Visishta Advaitin says, I am a part of Paramatma. But the part will merge with Paramatma. So if this is the phenomena which happens, then Shankaracharya does not accept that phenomena. He negates Visishta Advaitin and also Dvaitin. Because every association ends in dissociation. So, the basic conclusion of Shankaracharya is, if there is a joining of Jiva with the Paramatma, it is Anirmoksha Prasanga Dosha. That means you cannot say that I am liberated. The next paragraph, he gives he gives a conclusion of what he has said in 2021-22, and the defect is not a repetition. Third chapter also we repeated, fourth chapter also we repeated the same verse. Ultimate cause in the third chapter was said to be Atma Brahman. In the fourth chapter we introduced the four schools, and then we said Prakriti is the cause for the creation in Sankhya. Paramanu is the cause in Nyaya philosophy. Both of them, they negated each other. Ultimately, the four schools have established that there is nothing called as creation. It's only an appearance, which is what Shankaracharya and Gaudapadacharya are saying right from the beginning. It is called as Ajati Vada. So between themselves they negate each other, and ultimately Shankaracharya and Gaudapadacharya, they win the case for Ajati Vada. Now comes the introduction to the 9th verse. So we have finished the chapter 3 and chapter 4 repetitions. Now we are talking about a new Karika. It's an introduction only. Shankaracharya writes a very big commentary for the 9th Karika. Very, very big commentary, we'll see. Because he brings in all the ideas of different Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and says that immortality is our true nature. He concludes the Ajati Vada, that means there is no creation, there is only appearance. During the Adhyaropa stage, we say Mula Karanam of the universe is Brahman. We start like that. We say there is something called as Bhagavan. From that Bhagavan only this creation has come. But after the student has absorbed this truth, then the teacher says Bhagavan is not the Karan. And then why does he say that? He wants to say, ultimately the teacher wants to say, creation is an appearance, exactly like dream. See, in the 3rd chapter we said that waking state is like dream state. It is also an appearance. But here in the 4th chapter, the reasoning is given that if it is a cause, if there is a cause for the waking state, then then the waking state will become a product. It will become a karyam. Because the cause is changeless, I hope you are able to understand this fine argument. It is a very, very fine argument. So, world is an appearance. It is always there. It is anadi anantam. This appearing world is there anadi. Anadi means beginningless time. And this world will continue endlessly. See, the bodies are born and gone, but the world continues. And what is the adhishtanam for the world? Turiyam. So, Turiyam and the world, it is a non-dual relationship. When we go to the next few slides, you will understand how one is Satyam, other is Mithya. In Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, the same idea is given, but we don't realize it when we study Bhagavad Gita. Because Bhagavad Gita is the essence of Upanishads only, but they don't provide all the reasoning which is required. Only when you go through Shankaracharya's commentary or in Bhagavad Gita for this 15th chapter, the same reasoning which he gives here is given there also. Na rupamasye tatadhovalabhyate nanto na chardinna cha sampratishta ashvathamenam suviruda moolam asanga shastrena dridena chitva. This world doesn't have a rupam. I don't know from where it is coming. I can't see the beginning, I can't see the end of this world. It is like the Ashwatha tree, huge tree. But how to cut this Ashwatha tree, how to really cut off this world? Only by knowledge that the world is false, world is dream, it is adhyasa, it is jnana adhyasa. Exactly like mirage water and sand, rope snake and rope, shell silver and shell, dream and waker, waker and turiyam brahma. The last portion is where our mind has to sink in. I mean, there are so many other arguments which we can give. One argument which Ramana Maharishi gives in very beautifully is, he says, whenever you think only, the world is real for you. That means when the mind is active, the world becomes active. Suppose the mind is not active. Suppose the mind is not active and you are just seeing awareness everywhere. It is one awareness which is appearing as this entire universe. So what makes the difference is a notion in your mind. Very beautifully Ramana Maharishi says that. Anyway, coming back here, Adhishtanam for this world is Turiyam. Adhishtanam is not a cause. It is the basis, the substratum. Waker is not the cause of the dream world. Waker is the substratum, adhishtanam for the dream world. Rope is not the cause of rope snake. Rope is the adhishtanam for the rope snake. Then you will ask the question, there is a nitya world, mithya prapancha. There is a nitya adhishtanam. Are there two nityams? One is a real world which is there forever. There is a real Brahman or Turiyam forever. Are there two Satyams? No. Satyam is one. I, the Turiya Atma, am Satyam. World is always Mithya, even though it is a Mithya appearance. Main thing we should understand is there is no easiness, there is no substantiality in the world unless and until I, the observer, consciousness is present. The easiness does not belong to the world, easiness belongs to the Turiya Atma. So that is the argument in this 9th verse. We say clay is, pot is, but easiness is common. So similarly, whenever we talk about this world, world is nothing but Maya. Maya means what? We will explain that a little later on when we see the other slides. So the heat of fire is its essential nature. Coldness of ice is its essential nature. Essential nature. My essential nature is consciousness. Wrongly I have been identifying with a body which is born and gone. Body which is waking and having some experiences and stay away from the identification with the body mind and see who you are. That is what Mandukya Upanishad is teaching us. I am always consciousness. My essential nature is awareness. I can never lose awareness. In sleep state, I am aware. In the waking state, I am aware. In the dream state, I am aware. The states belong to the mind. I am not the mind. Mind is an object of awareness, coming and going in awareness. I am Paramarthika Satyam. I am of a higher order of reality. My nature is changelessness. The world is changing, body is changing, mind is changing. It is of a lower order of reality. See how deep our rishis have gone to explain how I can realize my freedom from this body-mind complex, which is called as moksha. This verse, this Karika, is extremely important. Whenever, I would strongly suggest that you revise these notes so that the ideas which are expressed in this goes into your subconscious mind. When it goes to your subconscious mind, your reality to this world will be completely different. I am Satyam. I am that awareness. It is easily possible for all of us to realize this truth. I will tell you how. In this waking state, I am awareness plus the body, mind and the world. In the sleep state, awareness alone is there, and there is ignorance about the whole world. I don't know myself, I don't know the world. Again and again compare your and that sleep nature is called as pure existence, turiyam. If I know that is the truth, ultimate truth, and it is immortal, that means at any time during the waking state also, just withdraw yourself from your body mind awareness identity, and then know that you are pure awareness. Now Gaudapada, he defines essential nature with 4 or 5 definitions in the next verse. So in this 9th Karika, he will give us what is the definition of changelessness, the definition of essential nature. Very beautiful definition. You see the definition, then it will be easy for us to absorb. I am Turiya Atma. So 8th verse and the 9th verse are extremely important. So just to try to understand these verses now and then reflect on these verses. There are 4 or 5 definitions which are in this verse about the nature of changelessness. What is nature? Very beautiful definition.
सांसिद्धिकी स्वाभाविके सांसिद्धिकी स्वाभाविके सहजा अकृताचया सहजा अकृताचया प्रकृति सेति विज्ञेया प्रकृति सेति विज्ञेया स्वभावं न जहातिया स्वभावं न जहातिया.
So we saw a big introduction for this verse, Karika number 9. And in this Karika number 9, the definition of Prakriti. Normally we say Prakriti is nature, but we don't go deep and understand what is the definition of Prakriti. Here, the definition is given. And what is the definition? The definition is Prakriti is known to be that which does not give up itself. Samsiddhiki. Swabhaviki means inherent. Sahaja means inborn, and Akrata means uncreated. These are the four words you should understand in order to understand what is nature. Then he will connect this to the Atma. See, he is going very deep into the subject of Atma. See, many a times, I'm sure all of you by now are able to differentiate between body, mind and awareness. Now we have to hold on to that awareness with these four definitions and say that this is my nature. I hope it's clear. Ninth verse, understand that there is awareness principle which is different than the body mind. Body mind is not aware of itself, or it doesn't say hi to me. Body by itself will not say hi. But consciousness which is going through the body mind is awareness. What is common to all of them? Swabhavam na jahati. Swabhavam is essential nature. It never gets altered. Brahman is called as Nitya Nirvikara Akarana Swarupa Swabhava. Always causeless. Because it is causeless, you cannot find any waking state, dream state, sleep state in Brahman. In Turiyam, there is no waking state, there is no dream state, there is no sleep state. It is pure awareness, which is Advaitam, which is Shantam, Shivam, because it is ever pure. Pure Turiyam is never the Nimitta Karanam. It is never the intelligent cause of the universe. It is never the Upadana Karanam. It is never the material cause for the universe. So, Brahman or Turiyam is Vivarta Upadana Karanam. Changelessly, it is a cause. Means it is not a Karanam. That's what Gaudapadacharya and Shankaracharya is saying. Suppose you say a person is seemingly beautiful. Seemingly, which means what? Really she is not beautiful or he is not handsome. So, this Prakaranam called Alata Shanti Prakaranam refutes four schools of thoughts: Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika. All of these schools are Dvaita philosophy. Dvaita philosophy means what? World is Satyam, I am Satyam. Many people think I am Mithya, world is Satyam. Because I am here for some time, I am not there afterwards. But the world is Satyam. But this is a problem. This is the Maya Shakti, this is a problem of ignorance. There can't be a real creation, but there can be an unreal appearance like the dream world due to Maya Shakti of Brahman. Very important sentence. Any school which talks about real creation must be refuted. At any time, don't give reality to the world. Say world is an appearance. I will enjoy the appearance, even the disturbances, everything is an appearance only. Really speaking, this world is not there. If your intellect can accept this truth, why? Because you are Satyam. See, don't neglect yourself. World you can neglect, but not you, that Atma. Only when you say I am Satyam, you will be able to say world is Mithya. So Ajativada alone is right. All Jativada means creation theories. All creation theories are wrong. non-origination is the ultimate truth. Mula Karanam can be Prakriti according to Sankhya, Paramanu according to Nyaya, Bhagavan according to religious theologians. We say Bhagavan created the world, but ultimately what does Mandukya say? This Bhagavan is also Mithya ultimately. What is Satyam? I, the consciousness, awareness, am Satyam. These are very deep conclusions of Mandukya Upanishad. It may not strike a person immediately, but it is good to have this exposure, because this exposure is the ultimate solution for moksha. There is no other moksha. These are the verses, if your intellect can pick up and absorb the depth of these verses, your intellect will say, I am ever free. I am a spiritual being. I am not a human being. Human being is a lower level. A spiritual being is a higher level. Vishnu Sahasranamam in the 5th verse also says Avikaraya Shuddhaya Nityaya Paramatmane Sadaika Rupa Rupaya Vishnave Sarva Jivishnave. Avikaraya. That means this Bhagavan is without any karyam. He is not at all affected, because he is beyond karanam and karya. So this is the ultimate truth. Sada eka rupaya. Eka rupaya means nirvikaraya. So cause, if it is cause, then it has to undergo change either partially or totally. But Bhagavan ultimately is changeless, eka rupaya. Bhagavan can't partially transform into jiva or jagat. If he transforms, if that awareness transforms ultimately to be this jiva, jagat, Ishvara, then it will become dualistic. Whenever you talk about duality, there is no moksha. Shankaracharya is very clear. In duality, there is no moksha, because each one will limit the other. I, the jiva, will limit the world will limit me, Ishvara will limit the jagat, jagat will limit the Ishvara. So in duality, you can never have moksha possible. In Advaitam, so beginningless cause, logical contradiction, that is Gaudapada's thesis. That means Ajativada is Gaudapada's thesis. Now, in Advaitam also Brahman is said to be beginningless, causeless, and it is also said to be cause of universe. Now Purva Pakshi is asking, when Purva Pakshi says the same, we criticize the Purva Pakshi. For example, at home, sometimes it happens. When mother-in-law commits a mistake, it becomes a minor issue. When the daughter-in-law commits the same mistake, it becomes a big issue. So Purva Pakshi is arguing like this. Then what does Advaitin say? He says, he quotes these verses, which are very important verses for Advaita. Yathovaimani bhutani jayanti yena jatani jivanti. Taittiriya Upanishad, the 3rd chapter, Bhriguvalli. From which these beings are born, by which they live and by which they resolve. That is Brahman. Then these are the verses quoted by Purva Pakshi. See, you are quoting all these verses, that there is Brahman and the world is coming out from Brahman and going back to Brahman. Janmatasya, this is the 2nd sutra of Brahma Sutra, which says that there is a birth from Brahman of this world. How does Shankaracharya reply to this Purva Pakshi? Purva Pakshi is saying, Taittiriya Upanishad, you say, Upanishad itself says that world has come from Brahman. In Brahma Sutra also, it says, Janma dasyataha. That means world is coming from that Brahman. How do you say that there is Advaitam? Shankaracharya says, we know it is a mistake. But this is a deliberate mistake committed during the Adhyaropa stage for the junior seekers. We accept the world temporarily because the student is still in the world. He is still not understood there is something beyond cause and effect. For example, when we go to a temple, an achetana stone, inert stone, we superimpose God. Chetana Ishvara. Ishvara is Chetana or Achetana? Chetana. But where do we see that Ishvara or, Venkatajalabdi, we see it in the stone. We don't see it in the stone. We see it as Ishvara, sentient Ishvara who can bless me. A flag of a country. 26th January in India, tomorrow we will be celebrating the Republic Day. So, the flag represents the whole country. Upon Shaligrama and Shivalingam, we superimpose God. Now, all these initial stages, we do it to facilitate a junior student. In Mandukya Upanishad, the student, when he comes to the 4th chapter, he is a senior student. Here we can tell the student, yes, world is there, but it isn't like a dream. Who are you? I am Turiya Atma, which is beyond Karanam and Karya. Now the student will believe it because he has gone through the 3 chapters. Turiya Atma is changeless. It is always existing. It is Nityaha. Very good. I understand so beautifully. It is awareness, consciousness. It is existence. That is exactly what I am in my sleep state. I don't experience it, but it is my true nature. Dakshinamurti Stotram also says the 2nd verse that the seed for the universe is Atma. But at the same time it says it is like a magic show. Really there is no creation, it's only a magic. It's a magic of Maya Shakti. So Maya Panchakam. You see, these are all the verses used by Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya says, look, all these verses, what do they say? They say, Dakshinamurti says, it is a Maya word. Maya Panchakam na ghatita ghatana patiyasi Maya. Last portion of this verse. There is a Maya Shakti which can appear like this world. Ultimately, what is the senior student does? He negates the Maya Shakti. And he says, without the Maya Shakti, Brahman becomes Akarana. Till you see the world, we say Brahman is Karana. In sleep state, we say Brahman is not a Karanam or Karyam because the world is not there. You alone are there in the sleep state, and that state you are Karana Karya Vilakshanaha. As long as you see the waking state, the world is there. In the waking state, the world is there, it is Adhyaropa. In the sleep state, it is Apavada. You negate the world. But you don't negate yourself because you are there. All of us will ultimately say it is our Anubhava. I am there, but there is no body, no mind, no world. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, I am Atma Brahma Sarvanubhuhu Ityanusanam. So this in this mantra also, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it says Brahman, the world is an appearance in Brahman. World is an appearance in awareness. Awareness is nityaha. World is an appearance. This is the teaching which says that ultimately Turyam is not Karanam or Karyam. Some of the students in the third chapter, they had questions about how Brahman is beyond Karanam and Karyam. In these verses, when you go through these verses, you know how to realize that Karya Karana Vilakshana Atma. When we studied Vivek Chudamani, there were questions. When we did the meditation on this verse, Ekameva Sadadeka Karanam Karanantara. So Karya Karya Vilakshanam Swayam Brahma Tattvamasi Bhavayatmi. I am that Karana Karya Vilakshana Atma. Even Kathopanishad or mantra, Najayate Mriyate Va Kadachit. Atma is never born. Atma never dies. This is a very, very important verse for all seekers. I am never born, I never die. I only appear along with the world, which is Maya Shakti. Maya world will disappear. Every day it disappears for me in the night. It is my wrong conception, that it is a wrong notion in my mind that I am born. It is a wrong. Ultimately, that's what Shankaracharya will say. So Sankhya, Yoga, they don't do this Adhyaropa and Apavada. This is a methodology specially designed by Advaitins, which will help us to understand Satyam and Mithya. For all other philosophers, Atma is Satyam, world is also Satyam. In this, if you take both as Satyam, there is no moksha possible. In the mantras, Mandukya mantras, there are the 4 padas are there. We say that the third pada, the sleep, Sushupti Avastha, is the Karanam for Jagrat and Swapna. And here we are criticizing that Karana nature, which was said at the time when we studied the Upanishad. It was the Adhyaropa stage. In the ultimate 7th mantra, we negate the Karana and we say Turyam is Karya Karya Vilakshana. The same mantra of the 7th mantra is being repeated here. The 4th pada is Vilakshana pada. So, very beautiful commentary which Shankaracharya gives. Here he explains in this next paragraph what is the definition of Samsiddhi. I told you there are 5 features of Prakriti of the 3rd pada. Essential nature is never lost. That is the general definition. But Samsiddhi means what? It is very well accomplished and what is experienced. Samsiddhi means experience. It is experienced by all the siddhis, all the yogis. What do they experience? What they experience, Anima, Mahima, Laghima, Garima, these are all the siddhis. There are different siddhis. Anima means smallness, capacity to become small in size. For example, you must have seen in the Ramayana stories, Anjaneya becomes small in front of Suratha. She opened her mouth and he became small, entered her mouth and came out through the ears. Now these are all Aishwarya, the powers which are there in the yogis. In the past, in the future, in the present, they will have these powers. These are all faculties, like lifting, running, swimming. These are all faculties of the body. We don't, now, these faculties, for example, we have it in our body mind as our essential nature. So unlosable essential is the first feature of essential nature. Swabhaviki is the second feature. It is not acquired by yoga. For example, we say fire is naturally hot, water is fluid, body is made up of some essential nature. These are all inert substances. Then the next definition is sahajam. With reference to living beings, we say the fishes can swim, birds can fly. These are all the cognitive faculties which is called as nature. So, another example he gives in the next paragraph. Now, krita means artificial, akrita means natural. See, for example, water shrinks up to a certain temperature and then it expands. Therefore, you have floating creatures. Waters, they flow down from the mountains due to gravity. They don't go up. These are all features of Prakriti. So, essential nature of a thing sticks to the objects at all times, at all circumstances. All examples in Vyavaharika Prapancha, they don't lose their essential nature. Fire at any time. 1,000 years ago, fire was hot. Today also fire is hot. So what to talk of Paramarthika Vastu, which is birthless? That is what Purva Pakshi says. What Purva Pakshi is, see, there is another mantra in Gita which says, the 12th mantra, Natveham jatu nasan, natvam neme janadipaha, na chaiva na bhavishyamaha, sarve vayamata param. One of the best verses of Bhagavad Gita. We are going to do that next week, not next week, sometime. I'm taking up the Shankara Bashyam from next Saturday for the Gita students. Especially, I'm going to take the full second chapter. If anybody of you are interested, you can join the Bhashyam for the second full chapter, 72 verses. Now, in this verse, it says, you see, look at this verse and try to meditate on this. At no time we were not, neither you or I. Which means what? Consciousness is always there. I am consciousness, you are consciousness, your awareness, I am awareness. Awareness never leaves this world. World keeps on coming and going in awareness. So in the battlefield, none of Drona and Bhishma, all of them are this consciousness, this Atma. Why are you crying, Arjuna? Because try to know the Atma in these Bhishma and Drona, it never dies. Body dies, but that is not the truth. Body dies because of its law of karma. That's all. At all times, I am Atma, I am eternal and changeless. There are two words in Sanskrit. You should never forget these two words. Nityaha, Nirvikaraha. These are the two prime words to know I am that Atma. Nityaha, Nirvikaraha. I am changeless, I am pure consciousness. Always there, always there, always there. Waking state comes, dream state, I am there. Sleep state, I am there. That I is what is the topic of discussion In Bhagavad Gita, in Upanishads, in Mandukya, we are discussing that I. That I is ekam. It is not anekam. Jiva's bodies are anekam. Birth, death belongs to the upadhi. Upadhi means the container in which the consciousness exists. Aupadika bahutvam is in vyavahara only. In this transactional Jagrat Prapancha only, there is bahutvam. Bahutvam means anekatvam. There are many jivas, but they are all appearances in one consciousness. That consciousness is what I am in my sleep state. In that sleep state, that consciousness, awareness is pure, without any upadhi. And that never changes. That is my swarupam. And that is what we are trying to learn here in this mantra. That is why in the second chapter, 32nd verse, we have done this verse before. Na nirodho na chotpati na baddho na cha sadakaha. Actually speaking, there is no person who is bound. There is no person who is a sadhaka. Because all of us are all siddhas. Siddhas means we are already free. So Prakriti is to be known as that which does not give up itself, which is permanently accomplished, inherent, inborn, uncreated. So these are general rules which we apply to the nature. What is the context here? The context here is Atma. Atma is never a samsari. Jiva becomes liberated with the grace of the Lord. Samsara is satyam or mithya? Shankaracharya says it is mithya. Advaitin understands that he was never bound, that I am never bound as Atma. I am never liberated also. What does the Mandukya Upanishad teaches me? It teaches me that I was never bound. I never had samsara, and only I had a notion that I have samsara. Samsara means what? I am in the birth-death cycle. But that notion is being dropped by this logic. What is the logic here? I am nityaha, I am nirvikaraha. Purva Pakshi's verse in Bhagavad Gita is this famous verse. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyaha mokshas ami mashuchaha. That means you surrender to Bhagavan. Purva Pakshi says this is Dvaitam. Bhagavan says I will give you moksha. This is Purva Pakshi's verse. But Advaitin does not accept this Purva Pakshi. Advaitin says there is no bondage to be removed. Bhagavan gives a guru who will explain the Shastra, who will explain the Mandukya Upanishad to the seeker and says, O seeker, you have never been bound. You are always free. The relationship between Turiyam and world is Satyam and Mithya. It is not Satyam and Satyam. It is a different order of reality. Satyam is always higher. Waker is always higher than the dream. Turiyam is always higher than the waker. Now next, let's go to the 10th verse.
Jara marana nirmuktaah, Jara marana nirmuktaah, Sarve dharma svabhavatah, Sarve dharma svabhavatah, Jara marana micchantaha, Jara marana micchantaha, यवन्ते तन्मनीषया यवन्ते तन्मनीषया.
So, in the 10th verse, we are talking about how, as an egocentric jiva, we are ever free from all these 6 vikaras. Why we don't have the Shad Vikaras? Because we are Atma. The Shad Vikaras are just imagined in the Atma. All Jivas are Atmas. By their very nature, they are free from old age and death. What more do you want to know from the Shastra? This is the Pramanam. So, whenever somebody is fearful of death, it is a thought in the mind. It is attributing old age and death, they fall because of the very thought. See, so clear is Gaudapadacharya. Jara, Janma, Marana, Rahitaha Atma. That Atma I am. What is the problem? I am samsari is the problem. I am samsari is what? It is a thought in my mind. It is not the fact, it is the truth. The truth is I am Atma. And Atma is asangaha. Asangaha means it is ever free from adhyasa. Adhyasa means superimposition. Mind and body are superimposed on Atma, and then they can, because they are superimposed only, we can negate the body and mind. So, how do we know, what are the steps for moksha? First, learn about Atma and Brahman's nature as Nityaha Nirvikaraha. From the Upanishad, make it very clear. Understand one very big logic which we have learned today. Anything which is changing cannot be a cause. Savikaratvam cannot be a cause. Nirvikaratvam is the adhishtanam for the world. Ignorance of this Atma is the root problem for samsara. I don't know I am the pure Nitya Atma, Nirvikara Atma. The moment I come to realize that I am the ever changeless awareness, very, very, very important fact which all of us have to absorb in our subconscious mind. This Atma is immortal in nature. That Atma can never become mortal. Whatever I see as mortality is a seeming mortality, an appearance. Body mind is a seeming mortality, which is an appearance. Ultimately, I have to claim my Swarupa as Brahma Bhava. For some time, all of us will have this tug of war in our mind. Jiva Bhava, Brahma Bhava. Jiva Bhava, Brahma Bhava. But what will ultimately win? Brahma Bhava will win once the logic is understood by the intellect. Next week, I will start this topic 697. It's a short one, but today the time is up. So I will stop here. What we have learned today in the 9th Karika is extremely important. These notes of the 9th Karika and the 8th Karika, keep it aside as one of the best verses for moksha to be realized. Very, very important. Logical explanation is given. Immortal cannot become mortal. Mortal cannot become immortal. Body is mortal, it can never become immortal. Mind is mortal, it can never become immortal. What is immortal always remains immortal. Consciousness, awareness is immortal. It will always be immortal. And whatever is appearing and disappearing is a phenomena. It is happening because of some laws of karma. That is how I get to realize my Nitya Mukta status. This is a very beautiful verse in the 4th chapter. Very deep verse, worth meditating, thinking about, contemplating. Let your intellect ask questions. How is it possible? And then you see, Shruti is there. This is the Shruti Vakyam. Then, what about Anubhava? Anubhava also tells me I'm immortal. Again and again I experience myself in the sleep state where I alone am. Body mind is a phenomena in the Jagrat world at a lower order of reality. Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll continue next week. It's been a very beautiful section what we have discussed today. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.